What's going on, everybody? My name's Corey, that TCG guy. Oh, what'd I do? I did. Camera, are you cameraing? Anyway, what's going on, guys? My name is Corey, that TCG guy, and I'm here today to talk to you about one of the new Precon Commander decks coming from Magic the Gathering, Commander Legends, Battle for Baldur's Gate. I think that's all of it. Yeah. So they recently announced all the new Precon Commander decks coming out for this set, and I wanted to go through and I took a look at all four of them. Two of my favorites I want to talk about. I'm not going to talk about both of them today. Today we're just going to talk about one, and there will be a separate video talking about my other favorites, so be ready for that one. But yeah, so today I just wanted to talk about the green-red Exile deck, because that's a super weird thing, and I want to try it out, right? So anyway, the commander for this precon here, it is Feldrin Dread Wolf Herald. Here we go. It is 1 and GRUUL, so 1 red-green for a 3/3 legendary creature, human druid, and it reads, whenever you cast a spell from exile or a land enters the battlefield under your control from exile, create a 2/2 green wolf creature token, and then for 1 and tap, discard a card, exile the top card of your library. You may play it until end of turn. Obviously, I was reading it over here because I've never seen this before and I didn't know what it did. It's a super interesting archetype for GRUUL. GRUUL is typically just very smashy, very attacky and punchy, and this really wants you to do that impulse draw thing that red does really well, but green maybe we don't see so much of. So this commander itself doesn't necessarily speak to me, but the other pairing that you can do in this deck is kind of the thing that I was like, wait a minute, let's take a look at that. So without further ado, we're going to go into this deck. We're going to look at this commander one more time. We're going to look at the two other options you can do, and then we're going to talk about the reprints and some of the new cards that look spicy. So I don't know what that was. I'm tired. It's 1:30 in the morning. Someone please help me, please. We talked about the first commander a little bit. I'm not going to go through what it does again. I'm going to put it up on screen here for you. When you cast your first, well, I guess I am going to talk about it. When you cast your first spell from exile or land into the battlefield under your control from exile, you make a wolf, and then you can pay some mana to tap it and then discard a card, exile the top card of your library. You can play it this turn, so a little bit of impulse draw on a stick, and it makes you wolves when you do it. I don't know if that's exactly the ticket here, guys. I don't know. It's interesting. There are a couple cards in the deck that make sense with having a ton of like tokens, but at the end of the day, I really think I enjoy the mono red and the green background. So let's go over those real quick. So the creature we have is Durnan. So the creature we have is Durnan of the Yawning Portal. It's 3 and a green for a 3/3 human warrior. Whenever Durnan attacks, that's not his name. Whenever Durnan attacks, look at the top 4 cards of your library. You may exile a creature card from among them, put the rest on the bottom of your library in any order. For as long as that card remains in exile, you may cast it. That spell has Undaunted, so it costs 1 less for each opponent, and then choose a background. The background we are choosing is Passionate Archaeologist. This is a 1 in a red legendary enchantment background that reads, commander creatures you own have whenever you cast a spell from exile, this creature deals damage equal to that spell's mana value to target opponent. So, within the realm of the precon, these two will work okay. There's a few cards that have pretty high mana values. There are some cards that don't. And really, it's Durnan cares about creatures, so this is going to be a deck maybe you build from the ground up. You could do something like Eldrazi, you could do something like Dinosaurs, you could do I guess you can't do Praetors, but you could do, big mana dork creatures or big mana creatures. So this has a lot of upgrade potential or a lot of build from the ground up potential. I just think that they're really fun, and I love that, like, it's not random damage, but dealing damage equal to the spell's mana value to a target opponent, I think is awesome, and there are ways we can abuse that wholeheartedly. But we're not here to talk about building a deck. We're here to go over what comes in this deck. So first of all, let's talk about some of the noticeable reprints that we're seeing, and holy crap, there are a ton of reprints in this deck. There's a ton of reprints in all of these decks. We're going over a couple of just the notable ones. There's a ton more, but we're just going to go over the ones here that I think we needed to see, or, you know, I think make a lot of sense in this deck. So first off, one of the returning mechanics we're seeing is Adventure, and this is a way to cast cards from exile. So when you pay the Adventure cost, you play the card into exile for the instant or sorcery, whatever it is, and then you play the card from exile for the creature side. So in this case here, we have Bone Crusher Giant. This is from Throne of Eldraine, so 2 in a red, or 1 in a red for the instant for Stomp to deal 2 damage to any target, and damage can be prevented. And then for the 2 in the red, when Bone Crusher Giant becomes the target of a spell or ability, of a spell, Bone Crusher Giant deals 2 damage to that spell's controller, and it's a 4/3. So you can see where they're going with this interesting mechanic as far as being able to cast things out of exile. So Bone Crusher Giant is one of the reprints. All right, next reprint we have Bloodbraid Elf. I don't remember the last time we saw Bloodbraid Elf. Maybe it was in... I don't remember. This is Planar Chaos, but I don't know exactly when we saw this last, but I feel like it's been a long time. And then I believe this was banned in Modern for a little bit. Maybe it wasn't. I don't know. I don't play Modern. Don't at me at that one. Bloodbraid Elf, 2 red-green for a 3/2 with haste and cascade. So when you cast this spell, exile cards on the top of your library. So you exile a non-land card that costs less. You may cast it without paying its mana cost. Put the exiled cards on the bottom in a random order. So it just gets you a way to cast something out of exile. Really good. Bloodbraid Elf is an amazing card all on its own. Next up, Urbrask the Hidden. This was a card that cost, at the time it was like $8, $9, $10, something like that. It looks like it's dropped quite a bit here because it's getting reprinted, but Urbrask the Hidden. Creatures you control have haste. Creatures your opponents control enter the battlefield tapped. Urbrask we just saw in New Capenna, so he's coming out swinging again from his old Praetor days. Creatures you control have haste, that's incredible, and then creatures your opponents control enter the battlefield tapped. That's just a good strategy anywhere. So incredible this is getting reprinted, and I'm super shocked that we're seeing it. All right, another card from Battle Bond. I don't think we've seen a reprint of Stolen Strategy. 4 in a red for an enchantment. At the beginning of your upkeep, exile the top card of each opponent's library. Till the end of turn, you may cast non-land cards from among those exiled cards, and you may spend mana or mana of any color to cast those spells. That's cool. So this is a huge component in a lot of those impulse draw decks. I had a deck from Strixhaven. It was the red and blue flip professors. Really only just played the red side, and it basically did this exact thing on a creature. So, you know, it was awesome in that deck. Something where you care about casting things from exile, I think is going to go really well. So Stolen Strategy is just an awesome include, and I'm just glad to see it reprinted. Something from Battle Bonds coming back out, so it's great. And then next up, we have Layla the Blade Reforged from Strixhaven. We just talked about that. 2 in a red for a legendary creature, Spirit Warrior. This came in the Lorehold Precon. So whenever Layla the Blood Reforged attacks, exile the top card of your library. You may play that card this turn. And then whenever you exile 1 or more cards from your library and or graveyard, put a 1/1 counter on Layla. Layla can just get flippin' humongous. So you got to be really careful if you're playing against this card, or if you are playing this card, make sure you protect it, because people will try to kill it, especially when they realize your strategy revolves around exiling cards. So another really good reprint I'm excited to see. And then the big money reprint. Holy hell, I can't believe my eyes. Jeska's Will being reprinted in Commander Legends 2 Battle for Baldur's Gate. Everybody knows what Jeska's Will is. If you're a Commander player, you've played this card, you have this card, you've paid like $30 probably for this card. Now it's going down to like $17, $20, depending on where you get it from. But yeah, so Jeska's Will, 2 in a red, sorcery. Choose 1. If you control your commander as you cast a spell, you can choose both. Add a red for each card in target opponent's hand, or exile the top 3 cards of your library. You may play them this turn. You're always doing this with your commander out for the most part. It's just a bonkers card that I can't believe they're reprinting, and I'm super excited. All right, that's it for the notable reprints. There's still a ton. I'm going to link the deck list down below so you can check it out. But moving on to some of the newer cards that look really cool. I only grabbed a couple here, but we have Green Slime, 2 and a green for a creature ooze with flash. When it enters the battlefield, counter target activated or triggered ability from an artifact or enchantment source. If a permanent's ability is countered this way, you destroy that permanent, so that's cool. And then this has a foretell cost of a green. So you pay 2 to foretell it, and then you can pay a green on a second turn or a different turn to cast it for 1 green. So that's how you're getting that green exile effect to play through foretell in this set. And then there's also, or in this deck, and there's also some cards that say like, exile the top 4 cards of your library and then do things with them. So we'll get to one of those in a minute, but Green Slime, actually a really good card that I think is going to be a staple in most green decks regardless. Next one we have is Delayed Fire Blast, again with the foretell, but 1 red to play from your hand. An instant Delayed Fire Blast deals 2 damage to each opponent and each creature they control. If the spell is cast from exile, it deals 5 damage to each opponent and each creature they control. So if you pay a little bit more mana in foretell, it'll do more damage, or if you can somehow find a way to impulse draw it and then cast it from exile, it'll still do that damage. But regardless, you get the 2 if you just cast it normally from your hand, 5 if you get it exiled and then cast it. So I think this is going to be a really nice removal spell in red. So let's keep our eyes open for this one. Journey to the Lost City is another new card, another enchantment, 3 and a green. At the beginning of your upkeep, exile the top 4 cards of your library, then roll a d20. 1 through 9, you may put a land card from among those cards onto the battlefield. That's really only going to help the commander that is helming the deck. 10 through 19, you create a 2/2 green wolf creature token, then put a 1/1 counter on it for each creature card among those cards. Or 20, put all permanent cards exile with Journey into the Lost City onto the battlefield, then you sacrifice it. So you want to get those nat 20s, folks. Just an interesting way to get cards into exile and then put it onto the battlefield, or make some creature tokens, I guess. And then lastly, we have Venture Forth, 3 and a green for a sorcery. Exile cards from the top of your library until you exile a land card. Put that card onto the battlefield and the rest in the bottom of your library in a random order. Exile Venture Forth with 3 time counters on it. So this is kind of like one of those, the red and green ones came with Strixhaven. This is that suspend cycle where you can play it and then suspend it, then play it, then suspend it. And just a great way for green to have those cards in exile, and you get yourself some lands out of it, which is really cool. So just a really good card. And yeah, so that's it. That's all there is from Exit From Exile. That is the Gruul deck. We're gonna cut away to the other camera view here. So I hope you enjoyed this, and yeah, let's go to it. All right, guys, that's it. I hope you enjoyed it. It's interesting. It's definitely a deck that looks and feels real different to me, and I'm excited for kind of this new design space within the Gruul colors, because again, Gruul's very usually just punchy, smashy, and this one is just a smidge different, and I'm really excited to try it out. So let me know what you think about this deck down in the comments below, or maybe you like one of the other decks better. In that case, let me know that as well. I'd love to hear from you guys, or let me know what you would throw in this deck to upgrade it, or if you're planning on getting it yourself. But yeah. All right. When you're watching this, I should be in Command Fest Richmond. This may actually come out the day before I leave. No, the day I leave. I think this is coming out Thursday when I drive down there. So I should be on the road when you're watching this. So wish me safe travels. And the next time you see me, I will be in Richmond, Virginia, waiting for Command Fest Richmond to begin, and I'm super excited, and I'm going to be vlogging the whole time, so I'm going to have a ton of videos for you guys. I did that for Command Fest DC over on the Commander Crew. I will link those videos because I believe they're still up. I think. If they're not, maybe I'll re-upload them on my side. But yeah, so take a look at that. And then, yeah. And then lastly, as always, rocking that Pinfinity affiliate code. That TCG guy at checkout gets you 20% off of your entire order at Pinfinity AR. They are the cool AR pins that you can scan with your phone, and they come to life, and they're super awesome. So yeah, 20% off your entire order, or 20% off of your first subscription. Coupon code that TCG guy. And then lastly, I don't know if I've told you all this, but Wormwood Gaming, affiliate with them, the fucking owner of the company was the DJ at my wedding. That blew my mind. Anyway, I don't even know if I should say that, but I did. Here we are. Hey, Wormwood Gaming, if you're out there and you're watching this, let's do more stuff together, because that was awesome and I had a blast. And I would love to work with you guys, or work for you guys, if you know what I'm saying. Anyway, coupon code that TCG guy at checkout on Wormwood gets you free domestic shipping anywhere in the US. So if you want a gaming table, you want some dice, you want a dice tray, you want a hero vault, whatever you can get from Wormwood Gaming, that TCG guy gets you free domestic shipping on that order. So take a look at that. All right, guys, that's it. That's all I got. I'll catch you next time. We'll see you. We'll see you when I see you. It was awkward now. Okay, bye.